So ferns, they are plants that don't produce any seeds, and that you can see they come in very different shapes and sizes. And what's interesting about them is that they have a lot of DNA content. They have, to give some perspective, they have 100 times more DNA than tomato or orange trees do. And today, until this day, we don't actually know why they have accumulated so much information in their cells. One of the ideas that we have is that there's a relationship between the way ferns reproduce and this hoarding syndrome that they have. So ferns, during a stage of their lives, they have the female and the male reproductive structures very close to each other. And what can happen in a very lonely day in the midst of the forest grounds, they can actually self-fertilize. So this new fern baby has all of the DNA coming from a single source, which makes the DNA very similar. And the problem with that is that if there's a change in the environment or a new bug comes and starts eating these plants, it's less likely that they will survive. To cope with that, one thing is to have more DNA. So that's not very intuitive, but picture this. If you have 40 chromosomes and you duplicate all of them, you have a total of 80. That's not exactly going to solve the problem, but it's going to create a resource for changes to happen in the sequences. And by accumulating changes in the DNA sequences through millions and millions and millions of years, the chromosomes start diverging and they're not so alike anymore. This question of why ferns hoard so much DNA has been bothering researchers for decades now, and it's still very interesting to a lot of evolutionary biologists, like some of us that are in the Lee Lab here at BTI. To actually answer this question, what we have to do is to sequence the DNA of all of these plants, but that's still very costly. We do hope, though, that in one day we can actually, as DNA sequencing gets cheaper, maybe collaborating with other institutions or having new students that are interested in working with us, we will actually be able to solve this problem and understand why ferns hoard so much DNA. Thank you.
So there are some frog that raise little genome.
Yes, yes. But it's a minority. So ferns it's around 11,000 species, if I'm not mistaken. And there's 100 that have the smaller genomes, yeah. They have a different reproductive mode. The male and the female don't get close together. Separate, yeah.
Are these, all of these have the similar habitat? They live under similar environment?
No, so these, the one on the right is a land plant, right? It lives in the land, and the two on the left are aquatic ferns. The middle one is kind of like a swampy kind of vibe, and a little down to the water. And the one on the left, it likes to be soaked in water, but not like deep down in water. It's just like the moist. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Whoa, yeah. Yeah, it's not a grass, it's still unfurling. We're not gonna go crazy here. Yeah.